Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's video with a story in which our OP ships a brand new TV to Grandma's house, only to have the neighbor swoop in and claim it as his own. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. He stole my TV, lied to my grandpa, and called the cops on me. I'm having a house built, but bought a TV during Amazon's Prime days. I had it sent to my grandparents' house to be stored until the house is done. The package never arrived, and after a couple of days, the picture from the delivery was on the FedEx site. I sent it to my grandfather, who recognizes it as his neighbor. He calls the neighbor, who claims that he ordered the same exact TV and didn't realize he opened mine. I didn't ask him to contact the neighbor. The neighbor says his is coming in the following week, and he will give me his, as it's the same exact TV. A few hours later, he says, I called Amazon, who said for me to keep the TV and for you to call them so they can replace it. I tell him that my refund/replacement has already been denied multiple times, and I was told to contact local authorities/law enforcement, but I'd call again. The next morning, I call Amazon, who tells me that my claim was denied again, that I should still try to get my TV back since I know where it is. I call the neighbor, who's now saying he has to send my TV back when he gets his in. I tell him not to, that I want my TV even if it's open. He's an old dude, so I was using yes sir and no sir. I was trying to be polite as he has my expensive TV. He hangs up and sends me a long text about how he has my TV and won't be giving it back, and I just say, to verify, you're refusing to give me my TV. He calls me back and says to stop harassing him. So I drive over to my grandfather's house, he's out of town, and call the cops. After some back and forth phone calls with the cops calling me and the neighbor, they come out. 4 cops showed up because the dude said I'm committing fraud and cheating him out of a TV. After I showed the cops the text where he says he has my TV, pictures of the box he sent me with my name on it, and where my refund was denied, they went to talk to him. He changed the story for the 5th time to say I already got a refund and that I'm trying to fraud Amazon. End of the day, I got my TV back, and the neighbor calls my grandfather. Grandfather calls me saying that I discredited him. He meant defamation. He says that I called the cops on his neighbor and cheated him out of a TV. The neighbor's claiming he won't get his package now because he was supposed to keep mine. This old dude was so entitled he thought he had a right to my TV. I don't think he even ordered one in the first place now. Odd that you focused on all of the least important issues here. The only point of substance here is, what's up with your grandfather? He's exhibiting more questionable behavior than his neighbor. And our second story. Nobody at my dad's wedding recognized me until I walked down the aisle. A few years ago, my father got remarried, and although we're not close, especially not with his new wife or her side of the family, I still attended the wedding. It was July 2020, and thanks to the pandemic, the whole event took place outdoors. The venue allowed immediate family members inside, so my siblings and I spent most of the time before the ceremony hanging out in the bridal suite, chatting and helping with last-minute things. At one point, my stepmother came in and asked if someone could help set up the seating chart. She had designed it ahead of time with all the guest names already arranged on little place cards. I volunteered thinking it'd be a quick and easy task. She directed me to where the cards and the display were set up near the main entrance. The only problem, it was extremely windy that day. As I tried to tape the name cards to the board and secure everything in place, they kept flying off like tiny paper missiles. It was frustrating work, but I kept at it, crouching, chasing cards, trying not to let my hair whip into my face as I juggled scotch tape and the increasingly rebellious place cards. As I was finishing up, maybe 2 or 3 cards left, the first wave of guests started arriving. A woman approached me and asked, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you know where we're supposed to sit? Our last name is blank blank." Since I had the seating chart right in front of me and had basically memorized half of it by now, I helped her and her party find their table. No big deal. But just as I turned to head back inside, someone else stepped up. "Hi there, can you help us find our seats too?" I helped them as well, figuring it'd only take a second. But soon enough, a line began forming behind them, and before I knew it, I'd somehow become the unofficial greeter and seating coordinator of the event. I hadn't planned on being outside for long, especially not in the wind, but by then it seemed pointless to leave, so I tied my hair up, straightened my purple suit, and leaned into the job. It felt ridiculous, honestly. I don't even know most of these people, and I was literally part of the wedding party, not a staff member. No one recognized me. Not one person aside from my grandparents and one uncle who barely acknowledged me realized who I was. And it wasn't just my stepmom's friends or distant acquaintances. People from my own family, my father's cousins, longtime friends of his, even people I'd seen at family reunions, walked right past me or asked for help without so much as a flicker of recognition. I mean, sure, I hadn't seen some of them in years, but come on, I had bright blue hair and a purple suit. I wasn't exactly blending in with the catering staff. Still, they all treated me like I was just someone hired to organize seating arrangements, not the bridegroom's daughter. And I played along. I helped each person find their table, kept a polite smile on my face, and kept the line moving. But I'll admit, part of me was quietly stewing over the fact that no one thought to ask who I was. It felt like I was just invisible. That is, until the procession. When it came time to line up and walk down the aisle, I stepped away from the welcome table and joined the bridal party. The moment I rounded the corner and started walking, the expressions on people's faces were priceless. There were audible gasps, confused whispers, a couple of guests blinking like they'd seen a ghost. One woman actually did a double take so dramatic I thought her neck would snap. I locked eyes with a few relatives who had spoken to me earlier without realizing who I was, and their mouths just hung open. I didn't say a word. I just kept walking, chin up, blue hair swaying, proud purple suit catching the sunlight. It was a small moment, but it felt good, like a slow-motion movie scene where the overlooked character suddenly takes center stage. And sure, I didn't get an apology from anyone, but the look on their faces as I took my place at the front, that was all the recognition I needed. I love how you leaned into it. Instead of storming off, you doubled down on wedding staff, helped everyone find their seats, and let them all assume you were some hired hand. It takes serious confidence to keep that mask going under pressure, especially when your own family's walking right past you without a second glance. And our last story. No, I'm not new here, and yes, I do know the law. I started installing the 4x4 posts for the outer perimeter of a 24x24 garden for my family in February 2024. I bought extremely nice products and spared no expense for wood, PVC, dipped fencing, etc. I consulted my directly affected neighbor who said, "It's your yard, do what you want." About 2 weeks into the project, I receive a call from my HOA architectural committee, Karen. She informs me my pool must be approved. I'm flattered that my baby boomer secretary of the HOA across the street neighbor thought my large garden was sufficient enough for a pool. I informed HOA Karen that it was a garden and not a fence, which would need approval. She retorted with the notion that I needed approval for it. After a snarky comment of, "How long have you lived here?" I replied with, "A decade, and I've never been bothered by the architectural committee after painting my cedar siding house 2 different times, built a fort from the ground up, etc. Well, the committee ebbs and flows, and so does the rules enforcement." I'm sorry, the F did you just say? Anyways, I play nice and submit my garden proposal, which is promptly rejected 1 week later. I had a very nice pre-typed email requesting the minutes from my meeting where I was rejected and the minutes discussions and subsequent approvals of about 8 gardens within my community, which are akin to mine. Within a few minutes, Architectural Committee Karen forwards this Google Doc to her husband, who's not on any committee of the HOA at all. Stupid B. Now I have ammo for breaking confidentiality as a fiduciary on the HOA. I was told that they are a voluntary HOA and therefore not upholding to any of the HOA or POA laws of Virginia, and my request for records and a meeting with the board was denied. I was a paid member of the voluntary HOA in good standing. Cue my anger. I continue to build my garden and know that there is no way in hell that I will let the HOA Karen stop my family from having this and will just pay the $900 max fine for a continuous offense. 2 weeks pass and I receive another email from Karen citing that I was not approved and that my construction is considered noxious and offensive. Undoubtedly, this was so they could enact another fine for some bullcrap. That pissed me right off enough to get ready for war against this bee. I contact the Virginia Office for Common Communities Ombudsman, and they delightfully inform me that Karen, The Architectural Committee, and indeed the entire HOA board and anything, has not been run lawfully or within the bounds of their rights. They have a closed-door meeting to discuss applications and release no evidence or records of the meetings when asked. I send a final email stating that since no meetings ever happened that were announced and open for discussion, I was denied records and a rebuttal meeting. HOA Karen violated my privacy by forwarding my private info and email to her husband, and well past the maximum of 30 days has passed for my application to lay over for my official decision. The application was thus granted. Any more mention of the garden would be considered harassment and litigation would ensue. The entire Architectural Committee asked for access to the Google document one at a time, followed finally and lastly by the HOA president himself. 4 months later, not one peep, and the new secretary who took over shortly before my war has stepped down. Victory for my garden, and don't F with me. No, I'm not new here, and no rules cannot simply ebb and flow in a community of homes 400 to 800K. Edit. Voluntary HOA to enforce 50-year-old CR&Rs. CR&Rs make zero mention of gardens and are airtight as to not be changed unless 75% of every single home votes to change it. With the voluntary HOA numbers at 35%, that'll never happen. CR&Rs were being imposed upon me by a new architectural board after a decade of living here. Previously, most of the CR&Rs have been abandoned and not enforced. Even as a voluntary HOA, the Virginia Office of Common Interest Communities Ombudsman says they must still operate under POA laws because we have common entrance areas that are maintained by said voluntary HOA. You were being too nice, in my opinion. If gardens aren't covered in the HOA, I wouldn't have sent any requests. Plus, when Karen started in about the pool, I would have let that ride out as I'm in an angry, passive-aggressive mode with my HOA opinions. No pool? Okay, thanks for letting me know. Click. I wouldn't even bother telling her what I was doing. None of her business. I hope you have a bountiful garden. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.